Hey, warriors. So I'm going to finish the rest of my story. If I remember right, the last thing I left off with was I told you about how I was sitting at the breakfast table thinking they're going to come for me. And right then there was a knock at the door. I opened the door and found the police standing there. They told me there was a warrant out, not for drugs, not for violence, not for anything criminal, but for kidnapping my own daughter. Let me tell you, there's a kind of fear you feel when strangers, suddenly have the power to take your child from your arms. A less than 2 year old baby. And the worst part, I had escaped a dangerous situation. You know, um, I did everything I did to protect my daughter. But the people connected to my exes used the legal system to try to drag me back. I stood in the courtroom terrified, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because when you're young, when you don't have resources, and when you're already coming from trauma, it feels like the world is way bigger than you. But my family showed up. My uncle, the man who always came through for me, my grandmother, and a childhood friend who would later become my second daughter's father. And step by step, the truth came out. The judge saw through the lies, the charges were dismissed, and I walked out of the courtroom with my child, not in handcuffs. But that moment changed something deep in me. I realized life wasn't going to hand me anything. If I wanted safety and peace, I had to build it myself. That's when I realized how strong I was. And that's when I understood something every survivor eventually faces. Sometimes you're fighting people, and sometimes you're fighting systems. A little while later, life moved forward. That same childhood friend who showed up for me in the court, we eventually fell in love. We had my second daughter and built a life. But we were young. We were both carrying wounds, and the way we were trying to create stability didn't match. He was a dream chaser, always on the move, and I just wanted to be the mother I never had. I wanted home, I wanted normal. The marriage didn't survive. There were betrayals, misunderstandings, heartbreak on both sides, but there was also love, real love. Even today, I can say he's a good man. Him and my current husband get along. Life is complicated like that. During that same time, more truth surfaced. A younger sibling I never knew about, a child my parents gave up, found us. I met her actually when she found us. Quick story, quick little part I didn't put in here. She looked for us when she was 18. The adoption lady that helped her look for us, didn't tell her that my mother had just died. So she had no clue when she got there to meet us, me and my grandmother and my aunt. Um, the way that she found out my mother was dead was that we were showing her family photos, and we came across the one with my mother in the casket. That's how she found out that the mother that she looked for to find, that she thought she was going to meet through us, was actually dead. It was a really messed up situation. Um, I met her only to later lose her to the same pain that destroyed so many in my family. One by one, people I loved passed away. My uncle, other aunts and uncles, both my parents, my grandmother, cousins. I felt like every time I turned around, another anchor was gone. I looked around and realized I was standing in a world where every person I used to lean on disappeared. I wish I could tell you I stayed strong through it. I didn't. I fell apart. My youngest daughter went to her dad during the chaos, and though I fought hard at first, went through courts, battles, and hearings, I eventually realized something very painful but true. My kids were needing stability more than I needed to win. So I made a choice from love, not defeat. I stopped fighting. For them, not because I didn't love them, but because I did. That decision broke me in ways I cannot describe. I went into a dark place. I stopped functioning. I stayed in bed so long I developed sores. My younger daughter guarded my room, my door, because I didn't want to be around anybody. This lasted for months. I pretty much wasn't anything better than a disaster for years to come. Somewhere in the middle of trying to get my feet under me again and trying to remember who I even was, I met the man who eventually would become my husband. I wasn't looking for anyone. Honestly, I didn't trust myself to pick a restaurant, let alone another partner. But he was patient in a way I had never known, calm where I was chaotic, solid where I was cracked. And at that same time, I was stepping into a new chapter as a grandmother. And that little girl changed me in ways I didn't even know I needed. She grounded me. She gave me purpose again. She helped me grow up in ways trauma had stunted me. Her dad and his wife have built a beautiful, stable life. My granddaughter is loved, supported, and thriving. And even though she isn't here every day like she was when she was younger, we still have our bond. She's got her own room here and her own bathroom, her own little world, and she knows this house is another home for her whenever she wants it. My husband doesn't have any biological kids, but you'd never know it seeing them together. He's her papa. So, no, my story isn't clean, and I obviously skipped a whole bunch of, little stuff here and there. Just kind of wanted to focus on the bigger parts. Um, anyways, it's like I said, it's not clean. It isn't linear. It's messy, but every chapter taught me something, and every person that came in and out of my life, shaped who I am right now, especially my granddaughter. She gave me motivation to clean the wounds I had been avoiding my entire life, and she gave me proof that even after everything I had went through, I was still capable of being someone's safe place. And I'm a safe place for all of you too, legends. I love you.